Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Payoff Pitch. I'm your host, Paul Valley, and we've got a question and answer, Q&A going for you today. First two questions for me were from Andy Atkinson on Twitter. The first question he asked me was, do I think that Buck removes Ubaldo from the rotation before tomorrow's start, especially if the Orioles lose tonight, to kind of stop the bleeding? I will say this. They recalled TJ McFarland today from Norfolk. They haven't made a corresponding roster move yet. So that could be something that could be happening. TJ could be making that start tomorrow. However, I think the more likely scenario is that they're looking for bullpen help. And Ubaldo's probably still going to make that start tomorrow. I think that TJ got recalled in an effort to kind of make up for Ubaldo possibly and probably having a short start tomorrow. That being said, I don't think Ubaldo would still be in this rotation if he wasn't making $12 million a year. If he was even a $6 million a year starter, I think that he probably wouldn't be on this team anymore. He may have been designated for assignment long ago. But I think if you've made it to Wednesday with him as your projected Thursday starter in the finale, he's probably the starter tomorrow, unfortunately, for the Orioles and their fans. But you never know. Maybe he turns into the Ubaldo of old and gives him a good start. We'll see. The other question that Andy Atkinson asked me is, with Adam Jones performing so well from the leadoff spot, do I think that changes anytime soon, or do I think that he stays in that spot in the leadoff as the leadoff hitter? He's 6 for 18. He's in .333 with a .400 on-base percentage since being moved to the leadoff spot. And I think as long as it works, Buck's not going to mess with it. Manny Machado is the best hitter on the team, so I think you absolutely have to have him in the number 3 slot in that batting order. Kim's been swinging a pretty hot bat recently, so I think he's going to stay in the number 2 spot. And Adam Jones, look, he's not producing well enough to be in the 3, 4, 5 slot in the lineup. He's just not. He's hitting below 240, not showing a lot of power this year. Personally, I think he's still playing hurt. I think you can tell by every swing that he takes that he is playing to protect his rib injury. His swings are really short-armed. His follow-through isn't complete. I just think it looks like he's still protecting his ribs. And I wouldn't be surprised in the least to see at the end of the season that, Jones tells us that he played all season hurt, that he never played at 100% all year. So, yeah, I think he stays there as long as it's working. And when it stops working, Buck will try something else. Tommy Wimmer asked me 2 questions on Facebook. First question he asked me is, the Orioles have had a hard time developing pitching over the last 10 years, and who's to blame for that? Well, first of all, Tommy, let's be real. The Orioles have had a hard time developing pitching since they developed Mike Mussina back in 1991. So it just hasn't been the last 10 years, it's been the last 25 years. You look at a guy like Dylan Bundy, who you also asked me about, and I'll get into that in a bit. I think he got overused in high school by his high school coaches, and I think that has something to do with the fact that he had to have Tommy John surgery. A guy his size that throws as hard as he does, a lot of strain on that elbow. You look at Jake Arrieta, who was terrible in Baltimore for the majority of his career, and then he goes to the Cubs and he just won a Cy Young Award, and he's arguably the best pitcher in the game. And he said that Rick Adair is the reason he didn't succeed in Baltimore. Moved him from the left side of the mound to the right side where he was not comfortable. Told him to stop throwing his cutter, which is arguably his best pitch. And Zach Britton said no, that everything Arrieta said about Adair was right, that he just wasn't the best pitching coach for him. He tried to tweak with their mechanics and things they were comfortable with too much, and it caused them to fail. And you look at a guy like Brian Mattis, who when he came out in the draft was considered the most polished pitcher in that draft, and now he's not even on the team, and I think he holds a major league record for highest ERA for a starter to make at least 10 starts in the season. He was well over a 10-run ERA a few years back. That guy is a bust of all busts. And I think you have to look at Rick Adair as a main culprit for that. Gausman, he's at the major league level, hasn't been what we expected him to be just yet. But right now, he's one of the better options we have in our rotation. I think he's only going to get better. I know he gave up 5 runs yesterday, but that was in the first 2 innings, and he settled down and didn't allow anything over the next 4. So I think that you have to blame high school and college coaches. I think you have to blame Rick Adair. The Orioles haven't been great at developing pitching. But they also did stuff like drafting Matt Hobgood because they knew that he would be willing to sign. And good teams don't draft pitchers because of signability. They draft pitchers because they're the best player for their team. So hopefully that's going to get better. Hopefully they they have 4 of the top 90 picks in the draft this year, so hopefully they get some studs in there, and they can turn this thing around. I think next year you're going to have Gausman in the rotation full-time. I think Bundy has a shot at the rotation. Hopefully Hunter Harvey can stop getting plagued by the injury bug and get going, but they need to do something, and, I can't really speak for what goes on behind closed doors, but I think that guys getting rushed to the majors and guys getting overused in high school and college has a lot to do with the poor development of pitchers thus far in this system. So the other question that Tommy asked me was about Dylan Bundy and how he shouldn't be on the Major League roster, and do I see a phantom injury coming for him this year if the Orioles stay in it all year. Wouldn't be surprised. Everybody knows that phantom injuries are common practice in Major League Baseball. But I also wouldn't be surprised to see him stay on the Major League roster and Buck let him kind of fight his way through and start putting him in games in less tense situations. Sorry, that was the dog that just sneezed there. Bundy's a talent, and I think Bundy's going to be a productive pitcher for the Baltimore Orioles. You just got to get through this year. Then try to maybe rework his contract. I don't know what you can do at this point. I don't really know the parameters. I just know that he has to stay on the Major League roster or, have to go through waivers first. So, phantom injury I think is the most likely thing, though, Tommy. So, yeah, I kind of agree with you there. And then last but certainly not least, my stepbrother Jared asked me, do I believe that the Orioles are the team that we see right now? And I think the Orioles are proving that they are the team that we expected them to be. You look at that series against the Houston Astros, and they struck out 52 times in a 3-game series, which was a Major League record. We knew they were going to strike out a lot. This team is filled with a bunch of all-or-nothing guys who are going to hit, maybe 250 to 270, but they're going to strike out 130 to 200 times, and they're going to hit 25 to 50 home runs, depending on the player. So you take the good with the bad. I don't think they're as bad as that team looked in Houston. I don't think they're as good as the team that hit 6 home runs on Mother's Day. I think they're somewhere in between. But the bottom line is, with the way that Tillman and Gausman and Tyler Wilson have been pitching, and hopefully Mike Wright, I think he's about to turn a corner. I think the way they've been pitching, score 4 to 5 runs a game, you're going to win most of those games. I also don't think that this team is the same team we're going to see at the end of the year. I think they're going to trade for a lefty reliever because they have to, and I think they're going to trade for another starter. I think that Ubaldo's days are numbered. I think that Gallardo, hopefully he can take his place, but you never know what you're going to get with him, especially the way he's pitched all year until he got hurt. I said at the beginning of the year, and I'm still going to stand by it, I think that James Shields ends up being on this team and is a Baltimore Oriole by the trade deadline. So we'll see. But all right, guys, that's it for the questions for me. That's going to do it for today. I'm Paul Valley. Again, this has been the Payoff Pitch. Thanks for watching. Follow me at Paul Valley III on Twitter. And hopefully I'll hear from you guys soon, and hopefully you'll be hearing from me sooner. All right, thanks for watching. Take care. Go O's.